Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. First of all, my name's Kyle Fidalgo, and this is the first video in what I hope is a productive channel here, showcasing some different ways that you could use generative AI in your own work, your life, having fun, whatever it is that you decide you want to do with these really powerful new technologies that we have available to us. So I guess in this first video, I just wanted to give a quick introduction to myself, let you know a little bit about me, sort of my vision for this channel, and then I'll leave you with a couple tips, some practical tips you can take right away, even from this first episode. So let's get into it. I guess I would describe myself as simply a lifelong learner. I love diving deep into subjects, and I'm also pretty passionate about sharing that knowledge and teaching other people how to also be effective with certain tools. I've worked in higher education for basically my entire professional career, and mainly on the academic technology side. Basically, my whole professional career has been about managing and then teaching people how to use technologies to make their work life better, their productivity better at work. Recent years, it's been helping teachers and faculty learn how to incorporate educational technology into the classroom. So as you can imagine, like most industries, this whole wave of new artificial intelligence tools in the past couple of years has really shaken things up. And my own personal belief is that these tools can really be used as an amplifier for our own human intelligence. It's kind of like holding up a reflective mirror to ourselves. And I'm very much on the team of pro-human plus AI. Together is the path forward, not necessarily AI coming to take people's jobs in certain areas, or pointing and laughing at AI when it can't do simple reasoning tasks, things like that. Hopefully I can bring a more centered, humanistic approach to this channel and show you some real world use cases for ways you can actually make these tools go to work for you, work alongside you. The purpose of this channel is a couple of things. One, it's really for my own use case, I suppose. I want to learn out in the open. I want to be able to teach people, along the way as I'm picking up useful use cases for generative AI tools, and share those experiences with you, hopefully in a relatable way that you can start to apply in your own practices. For example, one of the things I find most useful about these tools is when it's paired with a human expert in a certain domain area of expertise. I think you can get a ton out of these tools by thinking more of it as a collaborative and assistive intelligence, a co-intelligence, a smart colleague. Even though these tools are technologies, you shouldn't really think of them as humans, but it still is kind of a helpful framework and way to think about them occasionally, and especially when you sit down to do meaningful work with them, because one of the lowest hanging fruit, one of the easiest use cases, in my opinion, is getting that quick second opinion about the work you're doing or a problem you're encountering. Let's say that you have this idea for a project and you want to make sure you're taking into account all of the different stakeholders that might need to be represented. Maybe you want to get some alternating viewpoints. You can load up your entire thought process into one of these tools and get really meaningful and concrete examples back. One of the things I want to showcase on this channel is how to communicate effectively with these tools, different frameworks and mindset shifts that are going to come into play to help you along your sort of learning journey with using these. And the other thing is to hopefully showcase, it doesn't take a machine learning engineer to be able to interact with these tools. You don't have to be a coder, you don't have to be a developer. I think we're kind of moving into a new paradigm where just natural language is coding, right? You talk into a chat tool such as ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude or Google Gemini. Those are the big three. There's others out there, but you're just talking to it naturally, and you're instructing a computer to basically do some coding for you, right? You're coding with natural language. Input goes in, those language models model to some output for you, and then gives that back out in the form of text or images or audio. It depends on what kind of tool you're working with. But the main points I want to get across are thinking about AI as a assistive intelligence, a co-intelligence. Ideally, I'm hoping to get you to those like aha moments with using artificial intelligence much more quickly. And by the way, a lot of people throw around the term artificial intelligence. It's kind of loaded. It means a lot of different things. It's a very broad topic. I'm specifically talking about this new wave of generative AI, large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. If all of this sounds like mumbo jumbo to you, don't worry, I'm going to be breaking things down across the life of this channel. So what I'd like to do is share some of these practical tips and tricks and just these like helpful mindset shifts that I've picked up over the past couple of years working with these tools on a daily basis, so that you can just get in there and start playing with them right away. Because I think, in my opinion, that's the most important thing. When you get in there and see the kinds of things and tasks you're able to do when using these tools, whether that's speeding up efficiency, which is certainly helpful, whether that's just having fun, which I argue is one of the very good use case for these things. I have fun with them all the time on a daily basis, in fact. But I'm also using them to do more meaningful work, to get more out of my work, to get more meaning and go deeper in certain areas that I might not otherwise be able to do. And that's one of the biggest things I want to share and kind of get across is this point of if you use them as a tool for seeking input over simply output, just meaning you're trying to get more meaning out of your work, you're trying to go deeper, you're getting second opinions, you're crafting like your own narrative that you as the human behind the wheel, like your own human ingenuity, intelligence, creativity, vision for things. When you have all those things combined together and then you feed that into a large language model, in my opinion, the ability for these things to help you is really limitless. And these are things you build up over time. This is an intuition you build up by using them and putting in the time. And also, it really depends on the industry you're in as well. So you might not want to put certain things into these tools, the very basic high-level stuff like personally identifiable information. If you work in an industry where client privacy and security is really important, you want to be careful around using it for those kinds of purposes. But I really believe no matter what task you're setting out to do, if you could get into this AI first mindset, there's usually a place you can slot an artificial intelligent chat assistant or other tool into the process to help you out. So again, I'm going to be learning out in the open with you. I don't have all the answers necessarily, but I do have a lot of experience using these tools and have really put in the time learning sort of how they work at a high level, and then even sometimes digging deeper into the various aspects of how these tools work. So that's kind of my promise to you. I'm going to be walking through coding examples, how I use it to get out in nature, how I use it to improve my own professional development workflows and things along those lines. So there's literally infinite use cases, in my opinion, ways you can wrestle with big ideas. You can use it for learning new topics and getting caught up to speed in various areas. And so I figured I would just show a couple of my favorite use cases with you at the end of this video. That way you get a sense of just a couple things that you could do in case you weren't aware. So if you're brand new to these things, I'm not going to assume too much prior knowledge for my first couple videos here. So I'll explain a little more in depth about what I'm doing. And hopefully if you have spent time with these tools, or maybe you've played with some of them but haven't paid for the pro versions of any of these, you should also be able to learn some cool tips and tricks from these videos. And even the more advanced people, there's always a good excuse to hear other people explain these concepts, because hopefully I hope to give something to everyone, no matter where they are in their learning path, that they could find useful and take and share that knowledge with other people that they have influence over, in their own little tiny sphere of influence of friends and family and coworkers and stuff like that. So let me talk quickly about a couple sort of mindset shifts that I think you'll find helpful. If you're brand new to AI, my first suggestion is just get in there and start using it. I talk to people all the time, and in fact, when I sit down and sort of talk through how to prompt these tools with various people, they're often surprised at like how specific, how detailed I am, the sort of like formatting and how much information I'm giving these tools. And that's because you really should be thinking about these tools as a co-intelligence, sort of like an extension of you, an extension of your own mind and capabilities. They're really, really good for things like clarifying points, articulating points, taking in what information that you've given it and seeing other points of view, and helping you just like reframe ideas or explain them in different ways. So that's one of my most common use cases. That helping me with writing, helping me brainstorm and ideate and iterate on various types of things. So the first thing I figured I would show is how I even came up with some ideas for what to talk about in this video. I'll kind of walk through the process really quickly for you. So the first thing I did on a car ride to the gym, in fact, I just pulled up the voice notes app on my phone and essentially ran through basically like 2 attempts at recording this video, just audio only. Then later that night when I got home, I put the whole transcript into ChatGPT and essentially asked for a review. So let's take a look at what that prompt actually looked like. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I loaded this thing up inside of ChatGPT and quickly found that the service was not going so well. So I just hopped on over to my voice recorder app on my phone and just recorded this entire long thing. And what I ended up doing was just dumping this straight into the conversation. I had kind of already queued up the conversation prior to that with the voice side of things, saying, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm looking for some feedback here. One funny sort of like, I don't know, side effect or whatever you want to call it, they're always happy to tell you how exciting whatever project it is you're working on sounds, or wow, what a great idea. So, if you're wanting just to feel good about yourself, put in whatever you're working on into an AI chat tool, such as ChatGPT, and they will be very glad to tell you how exciting it is. So, it sort of like breaks down my stream of consciousness here, as you can see. So basically walking through the various stages, and then I just iterate back and forth. I say, hey, okay, some of these things look really good based on my practice run. Can you help me write a rough draft? So it's like, great. Usually the tone and language here, I'm not going to use that much of, but maybe it does try to explain a certain concept in a way that I find particularly helpful. I can take that and run with it inside of my video. So we go back and forth some more, and then we start drafting these sections one by one. And as we go along, I come up with a couple of different ideas for things to do. But you can see, like, get to talk through basically, like, what am I trying to get out of this channel? What's my value proposition? So this is like one of the things that I found super useful talking with this tool, to sort of wrap my head around how I want to introduce this video, what are the core messages that I want to share with you. And I think this did a really good job at capturing that. Now, could I have come up with that myself? Of course I could have. I could have sat down and done that. But this allows me to just sort of like get my thoughts out much quicker so that I can start processing and dealing with them and crafting them into something better than I could have done either on my own or that the AI could have done on its own. We're both working together in a collaborative nature. So right here we go. This is actually a good example of what I hope to get across. Like, I want to be able to show real world examples of using these tools. I definitely want to talk about some of the insights that I've gained over the past couple years, and insights that have been gleaned from other people that I follow in this space. There's quite a few people that I follow that are really prolific in this area, and I think have a good measured approach to it. I try not to hop on the hype train like some people might. I want to give you the good, the bad, and everything in between when we're using these tools here. And something I've been circling around recently is like using AI as a reflective piece, right? How do I use it to go deeper in certain areas? How do I use it to find more meaning in the work that I'm doing? How do I use it to find more meaning in my personal life when I'm trying to use it in that function? That's one cool way to use these tools, as a way to improve the quality of your work, to tighten up certain aspects of the work product that you're trying to do. And in this case, to like go back and forth and collaborate on a finished product that ends up being better because you worked with a co-intelligence. So super powerful use case in my opinion. One other quick example, just in case you weren't aware, and then I'll kind of wrap up the video, is that a lot of these tools, through the paid version, you have the ability to create custom assistants as well. And this is a little bit more of an advanced use case. Like once you get outside of the beginner, like couple hours worth of talking back and forth with these tools, seeing what they're capable of, that's sort of like my next step, my next progression of learning about these tools would be, I would recommend spending some time with one of the paid versions of these, because you get access to more features, you can have longer, more extended conversations, and in general, you just get more out of them, because what I'm about to show you is one way to create custom assistants to help with like processes that you do frequently. It could be for specific purposes or types of projects. And as an example, I built a custom chat assistant to learn more about how to use custom chat assistants, which is kind of a meta thing to do. But let's pull one up real quick. I'm still inside of ChatGPT, and I just want to show you what I mean. So in case you weren't aware, a custom GPT is something that you can build inside of ChatGPT. And basically what it allows you to do is create a custom chat assistant for a specific purpose. And I'm going to do a whole video of how I built this particular one, but also how you can build your own at a later date, so stay tuned for that. But this one is just an expert AI educator, basically. And its whole purpose is to explain AI in relatable ways. So not, deep technical jargon, although it can certainly do that. But it will explain to you based off of a lot of knowledge that I've uploaded to it. So it has its own knowledge base. It's grounded in sort of like the most current and up-to-date truths and information about these tools. So you could just go back and forth with it and have a conversation. And in this particular use case, I just want to show how you can use AI to actually learn about new topics and even do it in a fun kind of way. So like I said, I've uploaded a bunch of knowledge to this thing. Let's see if it can quiz me on some AI knowledge, and we'll see how well I do here. Hey there, I am learning how to use artificial intelligence, and I wanted to know if you could quiz me real quick. Let's just say 3 questions, increasing in difficulty. Start me off with something easy, and if I do well, you can increase the difficulty for each subsequent question. In case you were wondering, I'm using this tool called Talktastic. That's pretty helpful. It will take in my voice and then transcribe it into this input for me. And I'll just let it do its thing. It also uses some AI features to enhance the prompt. All right, and it asked me all 3 questions at once. I would rather do this one at a time. So another cool feature you might not be aware of, you can click this edit button and edit your message. Let's make this less kind of conversational here. Please ask 1 question at a time. All right, and it thinks the acronym LLM is an easy question. So let's see here. First of all, that stands, my cat's in the background, so you're definitely gonna hear her. Large language model, here we go. All right, so sorry if my cat is annoying you in this, but I can't do too much about that. So large language model, its primary purpose, taking in natural language, doing some manipulation to it and mapping it to a natural language output, AKA takes in text, generates text. And they're trained on a lot of data to simulate human intelligence. And the way that they predict things is by, it's informed on their training data, but it's also informed on all of the preceding words in the sequence that came before it. So let's see how well it thought I did with that answer. All right, thought I did pretty well, so let's see how I do on the next one. All right, not sure if you could see her, but Gus is now on the desk with me. But basically, the context window is the short-term memory of these models, and it's measured in something called tokens. And basically those are just representations of words. Humans don't think in tokens, we think in words, but these large language models do think in tokens. And really the point of the context window, like I said, is the short-term memory. And when you get outside of that, maybe you upload too much material, you have a very long conversation, the language model can sort of start to forget the plot. It might get confused, it might forget some of your earlier instructions and rules, and it might just start to hallucinate more or tell you false information. So once again, happy to tell me, great job, ready for one more challenging question? Let's go. Cool, so let's say you weren't super sure about any of these things. Well, that's the beauty of these tools. You could just ask infinite amount of questions. It's going to be ever present, ever ready to help, and super patient too. So they're really good as a learning partner and teaching you new things, especially when you give it up-to-date information. So if you're ever wondering, I wonder if this thing's telling me accurate information, a good tip that I found is if you can imagine it to be written in like a Wikipedia article, for instance, or maybe just an online publication or something might have posted about it, you could probably feel comfortable with it being able to explain it to you in a relatively accurate way. So I guess the last thing I just want to say is that, like learning anything, learning AI is a practice, it's a journey. And don't feel bad if you haven't hopped into AI yet, or you have, but you still kind of like don't get how to make it useful in your life. I would say don't worry, don't compare yourself to other people in the space. Like, it's your journey, you're the one on it, and learning is not a destination, right? Like, you have to put in the time with these tools to figure them out. And it does take a little bit of a different way of thinking about using software as being helpful. So with that being said, if you've used these things and struggled to figure out where it fits, I think it's kind of helpful to reframe a little bit of how you think AI might be helpful. And one of those is seeking input over output. One of the main things I want you to take away from this video is if you can use it as a tool to enhance and deepen your process and use it to get that second opinion, to help you critique your work, to analyze it and produce better work because you're working with this co-intelligence, then I think you're well on your way to starting to use these tools to be more productive and to be more helpful in your life. Thank you for watching this video. It probably went longer than I thought I wanted it to go, but this is going to be the kind of thing you see with me. It's going to be a lot of like thinking through how these tools are helpful for you, showing you some real world use cases, and walking through my process as I sort of a behind the scenes, if you will, of how I use these tools to do things both for work, but for my personal life, one of which is actually going to be documenting getting my own personal website up and running as well. So might be a little scatterbrained for some people, but this is what I want to do in my spare time. So if you like that kind of thing, welcome, and I hope we all get to learn some cool stuff together.